Welcome to the PM Talk Show today. This is Pat Marsh, your host. We're out here on beautiful Miller Lake, and we have something exciting, two things that are exciting to talk about today. And we have with us as our guest Professor Rebecca Hensley. She's a sociology professor at Southeastern Louisiana University, and we're just excited to have her. As our students say, we're glad when we go to your class because we get so much information. How are you doing today?
Very well, Pat. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. I understand that you're getting ready to do some things at the African American Heritage Museum, and as a sociologist, it keeps you going a lot, I know. One thing that we're happy that you're doing a segment on is how to go to college and make sure that you graduate. So the mic is yours. Tell the students that are coming in, and even the ones that are still there, how to stay there once they get there.
Okay. Whether you just graduated from high school and you're headed for college this fall, no matter where you're headed, whether you're a junior and you'll be a senior in high school this year and you're pretty sure you want to go to college the following year, or whether you've actually had a couple of semesters at a college and you're feeling like, well, maybe college isn't for you. This training might help you. In fact, I virtually guarantee it will give you some tips and hints you need to successfully get through the first year or two. And once you learn how to do it, all you have to do is repeat what you did so that you can successfully graduate. I have been teaching for 29 years in 6 different universities, and I've seen a lot of students come and go, Pat. I've seen them I've seen them start well and then crash and burn for various reasons. I've seen them come in knowing they weren't ready for whatever reason, not having the skills, but thinking it was their fault. Thinking that they just don't have the ability. And I've seen students come in that did well in high school and don't do well in college, and they can't figure it out, and their parents are frustrated, and they feel like the kid isn't doing it, isn't trying hard enough. And I've learned through the years some things that students can learn how to do better, to do their best, and to succeed in the end. And I decided, why keep doing this one-on-one endlessly? Why not try doing it for some groups? And the Tangipahoa African American Heritage Museum agreed with me that this was a good idea, and they're making the space available, which I was really excited about. So that's what we're going to do.
So what are the dates of this awesome thing that you're doing?
Okay, well, we're doing it in 2 forms to suit different people because different people have different needs. We're going to start by having 3 90-minute trainings. They are in sequence. The first training is on Tuesday, July 12th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And it's on all the stuff that gets in your way that stops you from doing well, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with your education. It has to do with being around a campus. And there's a lot of new stuff that comes at you, and we'll be talking about that. The second 90-minute training is on Tuesday, July 19th from 6:30 to 8, and it's on how to learn to learn. I mean, we think kids learn how to learn in grade school, in middle school, in high school, but what I've seen is that there are some absolutely specific skills they need to succeed in college that they don't learn in those earlier age levels. So they're not hard to learn, they're not hard to get, and I can give them to them, and that's the focus of that particular training. The third training is for everybody, but I particularly invite parents and other family members to that third session, and it's Tuesday, July 26th at 6:30 to 8, and all of these are in the African American Heritage Museum. dinner theater. That third one is primarily for family members who don't realize they can sabotage their students' success by doing things that they think are helping or that are based on what they think they understand about college, even if they went. And it's not the same today. Right. So they need to know these things to make sure they aren't the problem. And very often when I tell students about these things, they say, well, I can't tell those things to my parents. They won't listen. So I'm going to tell them in hopes that this will work. Now what we're going to do in case people can't do these evening sessions is we're going to do an all-day session on Saturday, July 30th, where we include all three of these trainings in one day, starting at 10 in the morning, ending at 4:30, and we're going to find somebody to buy these people lunch. So that'll be included as well.
Right. When you look at what it is you're trying to get to the college students, will the door be open for juniors, seniors, maybe sophomores in high school, to give them some idea, or is this strictly for college students?
No, it can be juniors and seniors. I think sophomores are still trying to get through high school. It doesn't mean that it isn't something they could use, but and we certainly wouldn't turn anybody away. But definitely the seniors who have just graduated and the young people who are in their first year of college, those are especially important because I see students come, I see them do what they can, and I see them leave, usually after the second semester. And that's what I'm trying to help them avoid. I'm trying to bridge that gap.
Okay. When you look at what it is you're trying to do as far as getting the students ready to graduate or preparing to graduate, what are some of the things, without divulging everything that you'll be doing in the sessions, what are some of the things that you would want to point out, especially to a parent who really thinks that they have it and they don't?
Okay, let's see if I can think of one thing out of each session that would give them an idea of the kind of things they're going to learn. In the first session, I address whatever influences the student has had that has undermined their ability to see themselves as being successful in the college setting. There are a number of things that affect us. Some of them are personal. Some of them have to do with family dynamics. Some of them have to do with race. Some of them have to do with poverty. Some of them have to do with lack of experience in successful ways. But some of them have to do with perspectives about life, about what is possible, about where they belong or don't belong. And I speak to that in very specific ways. How we learn to see ourselves and what our expectations are. The second training, learning about learning. For example, let's see. Okay, in high school, most kids going to high school, whether it's private or public, and it doesn't seem to matter much one way or the other, they go to school during the day, and when they leave school, they're done. Well, that's not the way college is. In college, the student has to teach themselves most of what they learn. In other words, what they learn in the classroom is a certain amount of stuff. What they learn by reading is another amount of stuff. And what they learn by studying outside the classroom is another bunch of stuff. You put all three of those together in order to pass the class. Well, if they don't know how to do that, if they don't know the logistics of how to do that, then they think they can't do it. But it's just because they don't have the skills. I can teach them that before they get there. Now, the third session about family dynamics, and this is, I realize, a delicate area, but one example is that because of the way high school often is, typically, parents get the idea that the kid can go to college on Tuesday and Thursday, and then they can work all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then on Monday and Wednesday they can take grandma to the doctor because everybody else is working.
Right.
Well, the problem is that if the student is going to successfully get through college and graduate, then it means they can't do that because they have to spend many, many, many hours doing that outside work I just talked about.
Right.
And if they don't do it, they won't get halfway through. Now, parents who say, well, I did it back in the day, don't realize that it's different now.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
It's a lot different because
it's different.
you got to take in study time, research, a whole lot of variables take place.
Expectations.
Yes. We're going to go for a break and we'll be right back.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. And now she's holding on for dear life. Her kids can see she may have broke her knees. They still love her though she looks like she's attacked by killer bees. I'm allergic. Proof you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to the PM Talk Show. I have with me today my guest, Professor Rebecca Hensley, who is a sociology professor at Southeastern, and she's come up with some skills for college students, juniors and seniors who are attending high school who will be going to college. At the beginning of the program, we talked about some things that would be beneficial to the students and some things to expect in the sessions that you're going to be doing at the African American Heritage Museum. And one of the things that you mentioned was race. And I want to, at this point, bring a book that you have written that you'll be talking about at some of the things that will be going on the dates on the July 12th, 19th, 26th, and 30th. 30th of July would be an all-day session on the same thing that you will be doing. But a lot of times I'm reading, or I'll say it like this, I'm reading the book that you've just written, Reduced to Equality, My Odyssey to Renounce Racial Privilege and Find Myself. I think this is an excellent book. I have read it and I'm on my third reading again.
Oh my.
Because I'm digesting a lot of things that are said in the book. When you talk about race and equality and what's going on in today's society, how do you relate that to young people?
Oh my. Boy. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
I mean, after Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri, and black young people began to rise and bring attention to the fact that we have a long-standing commitment to white supremacy in the United States. This is not new. This didn't happen when somebody in particular started running for president. This didn't happen because because the civil rights movement didn't create the change that many people hoped and expected that it would. This has been in place, entrenched in the culture since the 1600s. And so what we have today is a society built on that premise, that people that look like me are superior to and should have a better life than people that don't look like me. As I began to experience life and learn about what was going on, I began to realize that this was not true, first of all. And secondly, that there was a dire need for us to understand and address this, or it will destroy our society. And that sounds dramatic, but that's a very dramatic reality. We can ignore it, but it's not going to make it not true.
Right. Another thing that I think about, or I was thinking about as I was reading your book, I think of a lot of children that we work with in our school system. And I see the problems that what we may be doing or not doing is causing.
Right.
I got to get a chance to go into the courts, into the prisons, and into the homes of dysfunctional families, and I see it firsthand. So I think knowing what it is and how to deal with it, because at some point we're going to have to do that, and
That's
it has
right.
to be now.
It does.
Lest we self-destruct.
I
And
agree.
I really don't want to see that. What would your recommendations be? And I read the book again 2 times, and I'm on my 3rd reading.
I have to tell you, I'm a little overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
The fact is, I wrote Reduced to Equality, My Odyssey to Renounce Racial Privilege and Find Myself, for white people. I wrote it to try to help them understand that A, they're not superior. They are not, it's, of course they've worked for what they get, but black people work for what they get too, and they don't get a payoff. This is a problem.
Yeah.
This is something that white people need to understand is unacceptable, because human beings have a right to full citizenship in the land of their birth. They have a right to expect basic human rights. And when you have people being killed virtually daily by law enforcement officers who are then not held accountable because it's never seen as an issue, then you know you have something beyond just occasional occurrences. You have a mindset that has to be addressed. Now that mindset is taught to you and to me. It's not just taught to white people, it's not just taught to black people. White supremacy and the idea of white superiority is trained, is socialized as part of our culture from birth. To all of us. And the effects are that it undermines black people's ability to see themselves as whole human beings.
Right.
W.E.B. Du Bois talked about it as double consciousness. He said, we are not allowed to see ourselves as Americans and black, and to see ourselves as fully deserving of the same rights as everybody else. Well, here we are 100 years after he said that, and we're not a lick better off than we were, and this is my attempt to make another stab at this. I did not see coming the fact that people of color were going to want to read it. I have to tell you, I'm honored and I'm embarrassed, particularly since a lot of what I learned to write this book, I didn't get out of a book or out of research. Some of it I did, but a lot of it I got because people like you talked to me about it, taught me.
One of the things that when I began to read the book, it brought back some memories that were pretty painful, but I read it anyway because it reminded me of a day when, wow, I actually went through this, or I know somebody that went through these things, and how good it would be if we could do, love, just as the Bible said, love one another.
Right.
You know, a simple
Right.
thing.
Right.
If we could do that and help our young people, which I truly fight for all of the time, which
I know you
we
do.
truly fight for all of the time, to make it better for them, because you and I are going that way and they're coming this way.
Right.
So if we don't provide for what they need, then I think at some point we're going to be responsible. And as I looked on the picture of your book, and this was back in the 50s, I know.
It is.
It was back in the 50s.
It is.
But when I see children together, it didn't matter what color they were there to learn. And that means a lot to me because that holds true today. So on behalf of myself and everybody that's read the book and will read it, we want to thank you for introducing to us those things that you have gone through, and in order to give us a better view on how we can make things better for mankind.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'd like to invite everybody to come to the launch for the book at the African American Heritage Museum on July 9th at 3 o'clock. That's on a Saturday. And you can also get it on Amazon.com in Kindle edition or paperback, and you can get it downtown at Bayou Booksellers.
Okay, so Hammond has a book.
Hammond has it,
That's
yes
great.
indeed.
That's great, but it is, I tell everybody, it is a very good reading. It's eye-opening, and it's very thought-provoking when you read in between the lines, not necessarily between the lines, but when you read what's on the pages. And it's just a lot. One of the myths that I was looking over this morning before I came down here, and it's a myth that says many blacks are lazy. And you ask the question, am I lazy? No, I am not lazy. I just want an opportunity. Although you didn't say those words, I just want an opportunity, but just give me a fair shake and let me produce what it is that I'm supposed to do. And if I'm given an opportunity, then I will succeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that.
Right. So July 9th, you're going to do your launch. And if you're interested in coming by, how long will it be?
It will probably be about 90 minutes. I'll be reading from the book. I'll be answering questions. I'll be signing copies. So whether you get your copy on Amazon.com, whether you get your copy from me, or whether you get your copy downtown from Bayou Booksellers, I'll be signing copies for people at that time. I'm also doing the Writer's Nook at the library on July 13th at 6 o'clock at the Hammond Public Library. So I'll be talking some more about it if you can get to that event instead. That's available for you.
Okay, well, we're about out of time now, but I certainly want to thank you for this eye-opening experience, and we're inviting everybody to just come out and see, and who knows where this will lead. But we want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for coming. You're doing such an outstanding job, not only with your students at Southeastern, but you're reaching out into the community to help mankind. This is Pat Marsh, your host. Thank you for joining the PM Talk Show and continuing to join us. Again, we're out here on Miller Lake, and we want you to know that knowledge is powerful. Knowledge does matter. Thank you, and have a blessed week.